Well, hello there. Okay, let me paint a picture for you. You are walking into a client meeting. You feel somewhat prepared, somewhat prepared. And unfortunately, just how your schedule has gone that day, you booked meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. You have probably been there before. I have been there before. And so you're walking in somewhat prepared. You remember who you're walking in with. This is a 1 or 2 year old client, and you're doing some review work and you're trying to get everything just perfect, and everything's just trying to line up. And so you're walking in and you're trying to think through everything that's got to happen, and you sit down and you just feel a little bit rushed. You're out of breath. You're still thinking about the last meeting. We'll talk about why you're still thinking about the last meeting in a little bit. There's actually some science to that. And then you sit down and you rush right in. You rush right in. There's no questions right off the bat to ask uh, the client some disrupting questions to kind of get some story out of them. You rush right into the review. You're doing a portfolio review. You're trying to look over everything that's happening, and it's just not coming together. It's just not coming together, and you can see it. I mean, you can see it. And about halfway through the meeting, it finally dawns on you that you lost them about a quarter of the way through the meeting. Anybody ever been there? Yeah, I have. You saw their eyes roll back, kind of glaze over. They kind of leaned back. And instead of listening, now they've crossed their arms. They're starting to look around the coffee shop or your office, wherever they're at. And the reality is you lost them. You lost them. And I would like to say it's probably not because what you said in the review lost them. It's probably not because of the way their portfolio is responding. It's probably not because of your product. Don't shoot the messenger. But it's probably because of you. And I believe passionately that average communication is costing you. Average, slightly below average. It's costing you. And it's not just costing you on your P&L. It's not just costing you with your profits. It's costing you trust with your clients. It's costing you influence with your clients. It's costing you spark with your clients. You as you walked into the meeting, you could see that they looked hopeful. There was a spark there. But then all of a sudden, you started right into your spiel without even listening, without even asking questions, without even being emotionally present, without even having an executive presence to you. And you just vomited. And you saw it. You saw it. And we've all been there. I'm not trying to beat up on you. We have all been there because here's why this is so incredibly important, because sometimes we lose our clients because our communication is just average. It's just average. And we live on this motto that we can just wing it until it works. Wing it until it works. The reality, though, is you'll wing it until you work until it doesn't. Until it doesn't. And today, what I want to do in our time together is I want to hopefully give you a blueprint to turn every one of your, yes, every one of your client conversations into a trust building, potential referral generating moment. Yes, that's it. Every client conversation. Now, I know what you're asking, Jason. Seriously, every client conversation? Yes. The ones where you meet people at Rotary or Chamber of Commerce or BNI or a local get together in your downtown, whether you're on your kids' soccer game and you're walking down the field and you see one of your clients and they say, "Oh my goodness, Mike, you have to meet my neighbor," and then right there they give you a referral. Somebody walks in, if you're officed out of financial center or a bank, someone walks in and they go up to a teller and the teller walks them over to you. Maybe the licensed banker introduce every single type of client conversation, whether it's short or long, whether it's brand new, pre-client, client, been a client forever. We want to get to the point where we're not wasting our conversations. We're not wasting our conversations. And let me just tell you why. Let me just give you some data, because the reality is that every time you get to sit down with your clients, whether it's a married couple, whether it's a recently deceased husband, and now you're sitting down with the wife, and they brought their millennial child, whether it's whatever group of people you get to sit down with, when you get to sit down with them, this is a privilege. This is a privilege. And the reality is that you get the opportunity to communicate with them. You get the opportunity to communicate with them. And so hopefully we can challenge you. Hopefully we can challenge you that you can turn these conversations into incredible opportunities. In incredible opportunities that we're going to be able to do. So let's just give you some numbers, though, because every once in a while we just love numbers to be able to justify this. 72% of advisors say clients leave not because of performance, but poor communication. 72% leave because of poor communication. That's coming from the advisors themselves. 50% of clients who left did so because of poor quality of communication. Poor quality. And I'm going to go back off the slide for a second because I'm doing the quotes. Poor quality of communication. I mean, that's just a crazy thing. 50% of them leave because of that. And then 70% of a buying decision is based on how clients feel treated, not the technical stuff, not the product, not not any of that kind of stuff, not the product's performance even. It's how they felt treated. And so the reality is clients aren't leaving because of performance. They're leaving because of communication gaps, or they're not coming because of performance, not coming because of product, because there's a lot of us out there, right? There's a lot of us out there. And the reality is we have a lot of different opportunities to be able to see people and be able to experience what they're experiencing. And it's amazing that we have this kind of opportunity. And so that's what we want to be able to process and move through and figure out. And so, these are the opportunities that we have. Well, just as a reminder, my name is Jason Rates, and I'm the president of Speak with People. We help advisors, we help financial professionals, we help client focused leaders absolutely win with their client communication. This is not kind of the forceful, win at all cost, get them to sign sales training. This is the build an actual relationship with with your clients. Build an actual relationship. Build trust. Build trust with them, and be able to communicate in a way where you're not going to have to force them into the sale. You're not going to have to force them into signing with you. And that's what we want to be able to do. And that's why we've created all the resources that we do, and we're going to talk more about those resources in a little bit. And the reality is that and I'll say it over and over and over, average conversations kill trust. Average conversations kill trust. Intentional conversations create growth. Average conversations, average. And I just cannot exaggerate. I'm not even trying to exaggerate that. That's how powerful average is. So if you want to stay invisible to your clients, if you want to stay far from top of mind from your clients, then be average. Be average. Be absolutely average. Because Whoop- that's how you're not going to win. And the reality is especially as financial professionals, maybe you're watching this and you uh, have you're an insurance agent, you do life insurance, you whatever client facing field you're in. The reality is the client relationship is king. There is just nothing more important. And you and I have to get that right. We have to get it right. And so that's why we're going through this opportunity so we can do this. We can be able to get it right and be able to win. And so let's take a second to spot and eliminate some bad habits because some of us have some bad client communication habits and we don't even know about it. We don't even realize it, and uh, they just they just pop up and they come up and it's just absolutely ridiculous when they do. And so we want to be able to spot those and be able to go, okay, this is where I'm not winning and where I absolutely need to win. So let me ask you the question. uh, what you don't see in your communication is costing you the most. So what do you think some of those bad habits are? And I get it. Nobody wants to talk about your own communication bad habits. I mean, we don't think about it often, right? Like we don't think about it because we we have all of these things going on all of the time and we just don't think about it because we think, well, there's nothing wrong with my communication. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm doing the absolute best I can. um and so we want to be able to spot them and be able to figure those out, because once we do, and here's the thing that we've got to remember: trust isn't lost in one moment, it's lost in repeated habits. So let's go back to the beginning of the webinar and the client story. Okay, we came in rushed. We're thinking about what the meeting we just came from. We didn't really quite put together a plan. We're all disheveled. We sit down, we're taking big deep breaths, and then we just start into it. All of those moments led into it. All of those moments. And the reality is that each of those moments created these kind of trust breakers. And I don't know how to say this in a super kind way, so I'll just say it like a coach. Like you and I, as professional leaders, professional financial leaders, we got to get our act together in this client communication, and we got to make sure we're not pretending to be somebody that we're not. We got to make sure that we're not trying to show up in a way that is inauthentic to us, but we need to come in. And so the reality is there's a giant difference between speaking with people and speaking at people, speaking with and speaking at. And this is what we talk about a lot, especially around speak with people. And if you've been to one of our trainings, we want to be able to absolutely win when it comes to this. And so, if we were in a room together doing a training, I would ask you, okay, let's think about moments where uh, spoke at our we spoke at our clients. And so there's a big giant difference between speaking with and speaking at. And I like to talk about it. I like to talk about it like this. Uh, 10 years ago, my wife and we traveled to China. And in China, now let me just back up. All of our Texas friends, everything is bigger in Texas, right? Everything's bigger in Texas. Now, let me just say this: everything's really bigger in China. When we got out of the airport, we were on an elevated highway for 35 minutes. Elevated highway. It was like the Batman movies from Gotham, where you're like looking down at like skyscrapers. I mean, it was unbelievable. The Walmart was 15 stories tall. It was incredible. But the Great Wall of China is there. And in the Client Communication Playbook, just right away in chapter one is stop speaking at your clients. We look at how our communication bad habits, our client bad habits, they create this wall. And the Great Wall is massive, 13,000 miles long, built by hand, 30, feet apart. I mean, just you can see it from space. It is a giant wall. But here's what I contend. I contend that when you interrupt, you rush in, you're not prepared, you jump right into the product or target jargon, you don't listen, you don't ask open-ended questions, you don't laugh with your client. All of these different communication bad habits, they build a wall between you and your client, bigger 10 times bigger than the Great Wall of China. And I know I'm exaggerating that for a minute because the Great Wall of China is massive. It's massive. But the reality is that you could break that trust so quickly and the wall goes up. The wall goes up and you lost them. And I hate this. I hate this because the reality is when you speak at your clients, you don't build trust and you become invisible. You become invisible. And our clients or potential clients, they don't need a financial professional. They don't need a sales professional who's invisible. And they don't need that. They need a professional who is an expert, not only in wealth or the area that you sell, but then you're a people expert. And the reality is that when we speak at people, we build this wall. We build this wall. 44% of clients leave because their advisor doesn't communicate enough. They don't communicate enough. So start thinking about how much you communicate. And even if you're not in a financial advisor role, maybe you're an internal working for an insurance company, maybe you're a wholesaler. How often are you really communicating with your clients? Because this stat alone should send shivers down your back. 21% say their advisor provides proactive communication. Proactive. Okay, we want proactive communication. We want healthy and effective, frequent, proactive communication. This will deepen and build your conversations because average communication isn't neutral, it's negative. And it erodes trust, stalls referrals, shrinks loyalty. And so I know I'm hammering this pretty hard, but we have to get there. We have to get there. So let's just do a quick poll. Ask yourself, do you sometimes wait for clients to reach out first? I know I have. I know I have. Today, the Client Communication Playbook launches. And so already today, I've already made 20 calls. And you know what? After this webinar is done, I'm going to make 20 more. And then by the time the day is done, I'm going to send a few thousand emails and then I'm going to make even more calls. We have to be proactive. Two, do your updates sound transactional instead of relational? Okay, if you want to have amazing client conversations, don't speak in transaction. Speak in relationships. Do you focus more on data than dialogue? Now, if we'll talk about this in the further step, but if your client is in tune with the data, yes, start talking to him about data, but make sure you do that dialogue. And then lastly, do you assume nodding equals trust? Do you assume nodding equals trust? I will tell you this. One of the absolute best wins you could possibly ever experience is when your clients lean in because they want to hear what you have to say. And so that's the absolute powerful part about this. That's the absolute powerful part about this. And so, we want to be able to do this. And so some of these habits that we just talked about, interrupting, checking your technology, your watch, your phone, slumping down, crossing your arms, being disconnected with what's happening around you, interrupting them, talking more about product than asking them questions about their life, rushing the client framework. We're going to talk about that in a second. Not speaking in your right voice to your clients. We're going to talk about that in a second. All of these things are the silent killers of trust, and they build a wall. They're the silent killers of trust, and they build a wall. Okay. So if you want more about this, we actually have a free assessment. I will warn you ahead of time. You have to log into our website. Yes, in order to get free stuff from us, we do tell you right up front. We want your email address, and but once you do that, you're gonna have access to, I don't know, 30 different exercises, frameworks, assessments, all of the things. And especially if you're a manager, oh my goodness. I talked to a branch manager, an investment manager, a RVP. I talk to vice president every single week who are always looking for content, content for huddles, content for trainings, content. My goodness. So if you scan this from your screen, if you're not watching on a phone, if you're watching on your computer, scan it with your phone. It will take you to the Speak with People website. You log in, use whatever email you want, pick a password, and then you can download this. It's a pretty bulky assessment. We didn't want to just create a 7-question one that's like, oh hey, maybe you should improve your communication. No, this is a full out, in depth assessment of how you communicate with your clients. It goes through the 10 different unhealthy behaviors of client communication. It has 5 questions for each of those. It's going to take you, 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. But this is also something you could do with your team. And then you score yourself at the end and you look at it and go, okay. Now, for instance, I'm at Suncoast Credit Union. Shout out to Suncoast in July. And I had sent the assessment previously to them. And one of the older advisors, my age, older, Gen Xers, comes up to me and he's like, hey, I got to be honest. I, I thought I was killing it, but I did that assessment and realized, okay, there's some areas that I can improve. And I'm like, yes, welcome. You probably are killing it. But the reason why these trainings, the reason why I wrote a 150-page interactive workbook for you to go through on your own or with your team, why there's training videos, why there's exercises, self-reflections, is the same reason why freaking Tiger Woods always had a swing coach, because he always wanted to get better. Why would a Super Bowl champion Tom Brady with 2 rings, 4 rings, 6 rings, 7 Super Bowl rings have a throwing coach? Because he always wanted a voice in his head saying, okay, let's elevate that. Okay, you did good there, but let's improve it there. And that's what this material does. And so that's what we've got to be able to do. And so this is halfway through the webinar, I'll give you information about the Client Communication Playbook. This is it. You can go to speakwithpeople.com/client playbook. And we want to help you not be average anymore, but be exceptional. And this is training and speaking to transform your team into trust building referral generator communicators. I mean, this is what we want to be able to do. So, second, I want us to think through how we can structure conversations that build confidence. Okay, so first, you started to get rid of some of those bad habits. You gotta figure them out. You gotta write them down, do the assessment, and then every single week, as you walk into a client meeting or you hop onto the phone, uh, give yourself one of those to improve upon. For instance, I do a lot of virtual trainings. Almost always by my camera, there's a yellow Post-it note that says smile. You know why? Because smiling is one of the absolute best ways to build trust with clients. And so I want to continue. Now, I don't want to fake smile all throughout this webinar, but I want to be reminded that I've got to smile. There's another one that says pause, because I want you to be able to breathe and follow along. So these kind of things are incredible. So you've got a second, if you're going to have these amazing client conversations, you got to structure conversations that build trust. You got to build trust, that build confidence. And that's the powerful thing about it. Here's the reality. 86% of clients say trust is the number one factor in staying with their advisor. We all know this. You probably have heard this stat before from Edelman Trust Barometer, but I mean, 86% of clients say trust is the number one factor. And so how do you get to that trust? How do you build that relationship that's built on the foundation of trust? One, you erode those bad habits. 2, you structure conversations. And so you get ready. Here's what we got to remember. Clients don't buy products. They buy how you make them feel, right? They buy how you make them feel. And clarity builds confidence. And so confidence builds referrals. And so the point of this training, the point of this playbook that Speak with People wrote for you is to help you get clear, help you build confidence in your communication. And one of the ways you can do that is by using our voice framework. Now, all of us has a different voice. I am not talking about our voice, the way that our voice sounds. Although, yes, you've got to think about your tone, how you communicate. Is it sharp? Is it too soft? Is it too loud? Is it too forceful, too aggressive? Yes, all that's very important. But how do you speak to your clients? Because each of us are wired differently. Each of us are wired differently, and each of us have a different way that we communicate. So for many of us, you continue trying to be a vision voice speaker when you really are a clarity voice speaker. So here's what I mean by that. VOICE. 5 different voices. Everyone has a primary. Everyone has a secondary. And then everyone has a growth voice. Everyone has a growth voice. So let's just go through these. V for vision. A vision voice inspires action, has energy, big picture thinking. You come to the meeting and you are, ready to let them know how powerful things are going to be. Like how big you cast like this big giant vision. You energize it. You motivate them. You push momentum forward because you have big ideas. Like now, when you overuse it, you may risk like overhyping something or skipping the details. And so, for those of us who have the vision voice, slow down, check for clarity, but lean into it. Like use it in a powerful way to be able to go, okay, this is what happens when you sign with me. And so if you want to win with the vision voice, like always begin the meeting with a big goal. Share the wins. Talk about that. And so in the playbook itself, we go through an entire chapter of different phrases to win with, different phrases to put in your conversation playbook. So you're able to have those ready to be able to win. Okay. Insight. You bring structure, you bring process, you bring it. Uh, so let's just back up for a second. I apologize about this, but the slide is wrong. So the second one, O, should be organize. You bring process and structure and systems. Yes, it can feel rigid sometimes, maybe impersonal. So you just got to bring some warmth, but you bring the dependability. And then insight. You uncover purpose, you have strategy, you deeper meaning behind the decisions. And then C for clarity. You communicate with simplicity and confidence and direction. Your clients, you don't have to say to your clients, does that make sense? Because you've already communicated in a way that it does make sense. And then E for empathy. You have a relational depth to you. You build trust through listening, care, emotional presence. You do, powerful things with the words that you use. This is the voice framework. And inside the client communication playbook is an entire chapter helping you and your team know how to phrase things. So you will do an assessment. And you could probably guess right now which voice you are. I'm a vision voice. Vision is my primary, empathy is my secondary. If you're a fellow empathy voice, you are like a big giant hug with your words. If you're a vision voice, you like walk into the room and you're like, "Can you imagine what life is going to be like in 5 years?" That's just kind of how we roll. If you're an organized voice, you walk in and you have spreadsheets and charts and like you have everything laid out. They don't even have to think about what their next step is. If you have the insight voice, you're like a sage, you're like a shepherd, you're like the wise man or woman up on the mountain that people climb up to. And then if you're empathy, you are like everyone's best friend because you sit and you listen and you just hear them out and you listen to what's happening that's going on in their life. And so um, this week, what you can do is if you go and purchase the playbook, you're going to get access to it. And let me just pause right there to say if you purchase the playbook, you can get the PDF version. So you'll get a download instruction, how to download that. You'll create a user and a password for Speak with People system. And once you're inside, now you're going to have access to all of the different downloads, the videos, all of that kind of stuff from the playbook. Then you can get the printed version, and the printed version will show up in your mailbox. It's not Amazon, okay? So it's not coming tomorrow, but it will show up, and you'll be able to write. You'll be able to do all those things. So my recommendation is, I always love the printed one, but you can also get the PDF, print it out, make your own printed version. So you can do that. But this week, think about what voice you speak to in your with your clients, and lean into it. So often it's like, oh no, I've got to be more empathetic. No, 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 no. Only be empathetic if it's your primary, secondary. Now, your growth voice, yes, there's probably going to be some moments. Say you sit down with clients, they just lost a loved one. Yes, probably not ideal to just jump into your, organization voice. You're going to have to dip into empathy for a minute and listen, and to be able to go through. And so, those are the powerful things that we're able to do. This chart gives you a little bit more information on it, kind of breaks it down. Vision, yes, energy and momentum. It's best used when the client feels stuck or needs inspiration. And you got to watch out for kind of the weaknesses. You can skip the details or you can overwhelm. Okay. The organized voice, this is your structure, your systems. This is, best used when your clients crave order or clear steps. And then you got to watch out for it's going to feel rigid maybe sometimes or impersonal. The insight voice, strategy, reflection, best used when the client is unclear. Maybe they've been going back and forth about what to do. And then they can overthink or stall action. And then your clarity voice is simplicity, direction. It's best used when the client is overwhelmed or distracted and they need a plan. And you got to watch out for maybe you sound too blunt. You got to ease it up. Then the empathy voice. It's that emotional safety. It's the trust building voice. Best used when the client is stressed or uncertain or navigating life change. And you've got to look out because sometimes it lacks, decisive direction, because you've got to communicate with confidence and ask pivotal questions that lead to them signing with you or them adding to their portfolio or them doing bigger things. And so some of those things are incredibly important, and we got to make sure that we be able to do it. Lastly, okay, so we looked at some of those habits that are eroding trust. Two, we're making sure we structure our conversations with the right voice. And then three, we've got to use a repeatable framework to scale trust. Some of us, again, like I talked about in the beginning, we're just winging it. We're just showing up to our meetings like, okay, we're here. Now what? We can't do that. 90% of top advisors use some structured framework for conversations. So if you can repeat it, you can scale it, and your growth is directly tied to the consistency of your conversations. Consistency. In the playbook, in the very intro, we reference a stat from Y Charts about trust in advisors, and what's one of the main factors that improves that trust. And what that research found is you can experience a 50-point swing. I mean, imagine that 50-point swing by just being frequent with your communication. Just being frequent. That's it. And so, like we talked about earlier, do your clients always have to be the first ones to reach out? Are they reaching back out after you ask them, after they ask to send you something? Like, those are the things to change right away and to improve. 90% of top advisors use a structured framework for client conversations. So, what's your framework? Well, let me present to you the client's framework. And again, this is all in the client communication playbook. You'll be able to dive into this, but it really is 7 steps for transforming conversations. And we're going to go through this in detail, but I cannot stress enough that learning a simple framework like this, maybe some of you use Michael Scott's ABC framework, right? Always be selling, always be closing. That was Michael Scott's framework. But what is the framework that you use? What is the framework that you use? And so this is a framework that we use, and we've found great success with it. And it has its own chapter in the playbook. You go through all of it in detail. There's exercises. But C, you got to connect before the call. So whether it's a phone call, whether it's an in-person meeting in your office or in a coffee shop or at their house or wherever the location is, you got to establish trust before that meeting. So whether it's a reminder email, whether it's a reminder text, handwritten card, voicemail, whatever it is, you got to listen beyond the obvious. You got to go into it like a detective, okay? Not a robot, like a detective. This is not transactional, it's relational, okay? Look at the screen for a second. If you're watching, you cannot be a robot with your clients, okay? You cannot just go in and do transactions and check the list. You got to be more like a detective, but like maybe like a detective sheep herder, because you want to, provide some care and some shepherding, but you want to listen beyond the obvious. You got to discover their true needs. And so that only happens by being prepared and then showing up and then reading their body language and their voice tone. And then you want to invite the story. Ask great questions that reveal their world. Here's the thing. Donald Miller says, human brain longs for a story, and questions open up the door to amazing stories. They just do. And what you want to be able to do is you want to have questions prepared, because you want the kind of questions that are totally going to get their brain disrupted. So it makes them think harder. It makes them dive deeper down a layer and share more with you, instead of, how's your day going? No, don't ask boring questions. How was your day? No more boring questions. Then you're going to engage with empathy. You want to listen to understand, not just reply. Okay, so many of us listen to respond. Okay, listen to reply, listen to rebuke, listen to rebuttal. No, you got to listen to understand, and then you got to name the right solution. Listen, you got to deliver tailor, emotionally compelling value. You're there to be their advisor. Rob Miles, who's the head of national sales for Truist Wealth, he's been on the Speak with People podcast, speakwithpeople.com/podcast. But in a podcast episode where I interviewed him, he was just talking about listening skills. And he said, advisors, you have to remember, we're in a noble business. People are trusting us. So uh, you got to be able to talk through their concerns. They're going to have objections. They're going to have questions. And so talk through those. Ask them back. Am I hearing you correctly? Ask open-ended questions. Use the TED acronym. If you follow Speak with People for any amount of time, we talk about TED all the time. T, tell me more. E, explain what you mean. D, define that for me. Like, keep diving in. Keep diving in. And then S, strengthen the relationship. Turn clients into advocates and referrers. Turn clients into advocates and referrers. I mean, this is it. And so as you continue to strengthen the relationship, you're going to keep creating clients who are going to be with you for the long haul. They're going to be with you for the long haul. And that's why we've created these different resources. And so this client journey, what it does, and you could find out more about this in the Client Communication Playbook, but when you use this client's conversation framework, it helps you access the 7 layers of a client story, the 7 layers of a client story. And each layer, has a different meaning, a different place. And so your competition isn't outperforming you with performance. They're outperforming you with conversations. I mean, I hate to put it this simply, because I know it probably sounds so simple, but your conversations matter. And so how prepared are you? Do you walk into the conversations? Inside of the Client Communication Playbook, we have a resource called the Client Prep Card, the Client Meeting Prep Card. And in this prep card, you're able to create a plan. And you're able to create a plan. So it's as simple as this. You print out the client prep card, and it begins with the name of the client, the date of the meeting, what layer you think you're at. And so again, your questions are going to be totally different depending on what layer you're at in the client story. And I know some of you are thinking like, man, this sounds like a lot of work. Yes, yes. And so I know some of you also are thinking, I can't do this for every client. So do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. Do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. And some of you, I was in a training in Minnesota back in January with Cetera, great group of advisors, and a guy raised his hand. He goes, hey, I got 300 clients. I can't do this with everybody. Okay. So start with your top 10%, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be your top assets under management. It could be a mixture, assets under management, longest clients, couple new clients, whatever it is. Pick the amount that you're going to be able to work a communication plan with and work that plan. And the client meeting prep card, what it gives you is it gives you a format to be able to use as you walk in. Also in the playbook, we have an entire page with the top 2 questions. Okay. For 3 years, I've been asking advisors, I've been asking wholesalers, I've been asking financial professionals, I've been asking, the best of the best of client leaders. What's the absolute best questions you ask? Been compiling all those questions. Then we put them together. Then we had 30. Then we had 70. So here's what we have now. We have 2 of the best for each layer of your client story, because each layer is a different part of their story. And then in the back of the playbook, we have the top 70 questions, 10 questions for each layer. And the layers, what they do is they help you experience different levels. So I'm not going to put a slide up because I want you to experience the layers in the playbook, but just give you an idea. The layer 1 is the personal stuff, right? You've got to know all the personal stuff, names, first names, how many kids, where they grew up, the personal stuff. The second layer is just some financial history. You want to get some patterns and where they're at. The third layer is dreams and goals, right? Like where are they, what are they thinking for the future? And then the fourth layer is some financial fears that they have. What's keeping them up at night? What wakes them up at 3 a.m.? The fifth is the current reality. Where are you at in regards to all this? 6 is, where's their investment mindset? Because, they may have a different mindset than what you're thinking. And then 7 is some legacy and impact. And the reality is what we do in this chapter. I'm actually looking at the chapter right here in the book. We give you 2 questions per layer. So like personal story. What's something about your upbringing that shaped your world today? Oh, wow. Okay. That's going to be huge. Somebody might say, well, I didn't really have a dad in the picture, so I had to cover everything. Wow. Okay. If someone wrote a chapter about your life so far, what would the title be? Wow, that's gonna open up some trust because they're gonna start asking you some questions. Second layer, financial history. What financial mistake taught you the most? Oof. Okay. So you see what I'm saying? Like some of these are so incredibly important. And so that's why we put all of this information into one resource so you have it all available to you. So stop winging it. Stop winging your client conversations. Even the ones where you run into somebody in the grocery store. Be prepared. Be prepared. And that's what the client communication playbook helps you. It helps you be prepared for those conversations. It helps you go from average to exceptional because your clients don't need average. They don't need, somebody who's not just showing up whenever, they feel like it. They need that exceptional client communicator who's showing up, who's building trust, who is there for them and who's doing it. So, the reality is that we have amazing opportunities to be able to do that. Now, the client communication playbook is live. It's live. If you go to speakofpeople.com/client communication playbook, you can scroll through the website today. You can see different resources we have available for you. You can buy the playbook today. You can get just the PDF version. Before you buy it, I'm going to send out a replay email. I'm going to send out an email today with a coupon, a code to get launch week special. And so email me, jason@speakofpeople.com. Give me your email to send that code to because I want you to be able to get the absolute best price. But you'll notice on the website, you can get the PDF version, which you can print out. put in a 3-ring binder like I did here. You can also, the next version, you can get the PDF and the printed version. So why get both? Well, because it may be helpful to have it on your computer, it may be helpful to print it, but get the printed version so then you can actually start going through it pen and paper. Or you can get the bundle, which includes the full client communication masterclass series course. And so you'll notice at the beginning of every chapter, there's a QR code that will take you to a YouTube playlist where if you don't want to read through some of the material, you could watch the video. You could use that with your teams. But if you get the course, you'll have every single video, every single PDF. You'll have the ability to communicate with me back and forth because we'll be in a chat feature, and you'll have everything right there. Also, if you're a manager, you can go to our store, speakwithpeople.com/store, and there's tons of resources there. You can get some of these individual frameworks. You can get the virtual training course. You can get information about bringing me in live to do a half day or a full day workshop, which I think is the best. If you want to see the best bang for your buck and you really want to see your referrals increase, you want to see your sales increase, I believe schedule the one day, give it a full day. I know it's a lot of time, but you schedule the full day, do it from 9 to 3. We'll do a light breakfast together. We'll jump in, lots of role play back and forth. We'll go through the entire workbook together. We'll do lunch together as a team. We'll break up. We'll do different activities. We'll write our scripts. We'll have all of our material ready to go. So if you oversee a call center, you oversee advisors who meet one-on-one with people, you oversee internals, wholesalers, people who are out there prospecting, building relationships. This is definitely your resource. So my challenge to you is if you want to take your client conversations to above average, to exceptional, uh, stop winging it. Start preparing. Start putting together a plan. So look for ways to get, erode the bad habits. Figure out, your structure for those conversations, and then, make sure your conversations are so on point and so ready. So I can't thank you enough for tuning in today. I am here to help however I absolutely can. One of Speak with People's goals is to be obsessed with your success. That's why I put my email on everything. Jason@speakwithpeople.com. Jason@speakwithpeople.com. Actually, in the very beginning of the playbook, I actually put my cell phone in there as well, my LinkedIn. So you have it all because I'm here to help you succeed. I want you to be able to do the absolute best that you can. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you'll check out the speakwithpeople.com/client playbook. And I would love to work with you individually, love to work with your team. And I can't wait to hear how you win with your client conversations.